Hey there, coders. This is the first project for the lower grade coding contest page. It's going to be called Animate Your Name. So we're going to put that on here as the title, Animate Your Name. You can just call it your name, whatever. It doesn't really matter what you call it. It's just so that you can remember what it is when you're coming back later to look at your projects. So what we want this project to do is we're going to put our name on the screen. And when we hit the green flag, want it to just move around the screen. And so it sounds pretty easy. It's a little complicated. I think you'll do okay. We're going to introduce the concept of drawing a sprite and then doing a loop and then doing a kind of a sensing thing. So the program will detect when it needs to change directions. So the first thing we want to do, we're going to leave the background blank on this one. We don't need one. You can add one if you want with this button. We're going to get rid of this cat and we're going to draw a new sprite. So come down here to the sprite button and don't click on choose a sprite, just hover over that and then come up to this one that says paint. So now it brings up in the costume tab this blank screen where we can paint our name. So I'm going to write Mr. Bruner. Of course, you can always do a nickname or your cat's name or whatever name you want. You can even draw a picture if you want. But here we have now a sprite. Let's call it name. And we've written my name out here using the marker tool, the paintbrush tool. That'll work. Okay, so our sprite is ready. When we hit the green flag, we want that to move around the screen. Well, we need to do that by changing the code. So come to the code tab. And we need to drag over some things. The first thing is the code that tells the program to run when you hit the green flag. So right now, when you hit the green flag, nothing happens because there's nothing attached to this sprite. Come over here to this event button. This is the part of these are the code bits that you'll use when the program knows that something has happened. So click on the event. And we're just going to do the top one here that says when the green flag is clicked. So when the green flag is clicked, we want this sprite to start moving around the screen. Now, we're going to set a couple things up first for you that may not make sense, but trust me on this one. I'll go in and show it to you later why we were doing it. But click on this one that says motion and scroll down a little bit. We want the one that says set rotation style. And let's change that to don't rotate. So you're going to click the little down triangle and don't rotate, because as we're moving that around, we still want to be able to read it. We don't need the words going upside down or anything like that. So put that on there. And let's do this one that says point in direction 90, because that'll tell the sprite when it starts to be looking the way to be pointing actually to the edge of the screen here. And you'll notice when we hit the green flag, nothing happens because it's already not rotated and it's already pointing in direction 90. I'll show you what that means later on. Trust me on that one. Okay, now we need something to happen over and over again. We want it when we hit the green flag, the program starts and it just keeps on going and going. Well, that is a control issue. So come to control, and the code that we want is this one right here. So this is called a forever loop. I want you to notice that you can't put anything after the forever loop. So if I try to attach a say hello, I can put it inside the loop, but I can't put it after the loop because Scratch knows that if this happens forever and ever and ever, then nothing that would come after that in your code would ever happen because this loop doesn't end if it's inside a forever loop. Okay, so I got rid of this say hello. That was just to show you. What we want our sprite to do, what we want our name to do is to move. So forever, let's say move 10 steps. And let's test it out right now. What do you think will happen if I hit the green flag? We're telling it to, when the green flag is hit, to forever move 10 steps. Could you imagine what's going to happen? It's pointing over here towards this side of the screen. It's going to move forever. Ready, set, go. Ah! Did you see what happened? Our sprite, our name moved to the edge of the screen. Now it's actually still trying to go because the program is still running, but Scratch knows that if it moved the sprite off the screen, you may not be able to find it again. And so it knows when it gets to the edge here, it probably better stop moving. Well, that's nice, but we don't want it to just go to the edge of the screen and then stop moving. We could put in a bunch of code here that says 0 move, point to -90 move, point in all different directions move, but we want the program to control that for us. So we're just going to use this little one here that says if on edge bounce. So I'm in the motion option, and then I scroll down here kind of the bottom one, if on edge bounce. Now can you think about that for a second, what you think that code will do? If this sprite is touching the edge, then it needs to bounce. Now notice that is a motion command, so if I put this inside the forever loop, it moves 10 steps, and then it checks to see if it's on the edge bounce. Now this is a simple little, it's called a conditional, boys and girls, where it says if, because the program right now doesn't know if it's touching the edge. And so what it has to do, it has to check. So this is a real complicated thing here, but they simplified it real quick. That just says if it's on the edge, bounce. Bounce means change different directions. So I didn't hit the green flag, I accidentally clicked to this code. But when you click this code, it'll run it in your program. Okay, so our program is running forever, move 10 steps, on edge bounce. I want to show you one thing here. If we change this number from 10 to a different number, like 5, what do you think will happen to the speed of our sprite? Instead of going 10 steps, it's only going to go 5 steps. If you guess that it'll slow down, you'll be right. Watch this. Now it's only moving 5 steps. If I change that to a 50, what do you think will happen? It's going to go way faster. Nice. That's what your program does. Let's switch it back to 10. Let's stop it for a second. And now let's explain this bit of code right here, point in direction 90. If you change that by, you can type in a number here, or you can drag this little arrow. That'll change the direction that this sprite starts in. Now notice, this point in direction is not inside the forever loop. So it's only going to point in that direction before the program, at the very beginning of the program, and then it'll move and bounce, move and bounce. So watch this. When we hit the green flag, it's going to now bounce in lots of different directions. Does that make sense? That's what, having it so it's not going in straight lines makes the movement a lot more fun, I think. Alright, I want you to notice one more thing here. I'm going to hit stop right there in the middle. Set rotation style, don't rotate. Watch what happens if we change this to left, right. Do you see what happens to our name there? Every time it bounces, it flips. Well, that makes it a little bit harder to read. And see what happens if we change it to all around when it bounces? Now it's not just upside down, or not just backwards, it's actually upside down too. For some programs that would be great. For this one, it makes the name a little bit hard to read. So we're going to switch that back to don't rotate. And when you run the program, it goes just like that. Alright, so boys and girls, here is your challenge. If you put in this code, you'll make this program just like we did. I want to challenge you to have multiple sprites on the screen. Maybe you have your first name moving one way and your last name moving another way. Maybe you want to draw some stars or smiley faces, and I challenge you to have different things moving around the screen using this little bit of code right here.